Today is Friday the 29th of June 2018.
And we've been on the road for close on a month. Who would have envisaged that a month ago, when we started, that we would have seen all we've seen?
Well, that's right too. I mean, and had the convenience of having a van to get into those out-of-the-way places.
So about 9 or 10 months ago, we says, wonder if we could do this, you know. And we did have trepidation about it, you know.
That's true.
4 people living in a box this big. It's only how many square metres?
It's not very big, eh?
Yeah.
It's 7 metres long, the van, with the driving compartment included.
Yeah.
Only a couple of metres wide. Yeah, we thought about it when you first invited us to come with you, and had always pledged never to travel with so-called friends or that, because we've seen it, you know, have negative effects with other friends that have holidayed together. But we've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been a real adventure.
We started off as friends, and that was the big objective, is to remain friends at the end, because
That's right.
Dave Palmer, our mutual friend, said that people come into Christchurch, pick up a motorhome, get to Hokitika just having driven one day, and they are beside themselves because they've got grandkids drizzling at the top there, couples arguing about where they're going, and they're not getting any sleep or rest, and they've got jet lag. So.
That's right, yeah. And learning to drive on the right-hand side of the road for me, with you as a tutor, Alvin, is good, because you've done it before, but I never thought I would do it, but I've done it, and I'm happy doing it now. And even said to Gail, if I had to hire a rental car, I would feel quite confident to do it.
I think you're right.
In Europe, yeah. So that's been good, so thanks for that.
If I go to this map, I think this camera can pick it up. When we left Paris, anxiety about driving on the wrong side, all the way through to here, because my head would spin the wrong way when I seen something, and to have 2 heads spinning the right way was bloody beneficial, wasn't it?
And coming from the southern hemisphere, we're wired differently when it comes to right and left and north and south, and we found that often. And that, certainly on the road, Alvin, that was a fearful bit of driving up through all that, you know, really dense traffic. So you did well there. And,
so Gail, how did we find the Lidl stores and things? Like, once we got the swing of them, that was good, wasn't it?
It was great, absolutely, and just that there were plenty of them around. There were the Aldi ones and the Lidl ones, and they seemed to have everything that we needed for eating well and living well, and
So you took the lead with the food and side of things, and I was just pooped from driving and all that, but it was lovely to have a meal popped up on the table for me. It was great, Gail, and I appreciate that.
That's my strength, I guess, and you got to work to your strengths, don't you? Yeah.
But even having a van this size, Alvin, was, you know, she's a 7-metre van, and we're not used to driving 7-metre vans. We're only car people. But, you know, once you got the hang of it, and, you know, you kind of turned into a truckie, didn't you?
We did.
Yeah. And when you saw those hop-on, hop-off bus drivers in those jammed cities, and got an appreciation for driving in tight spaces, you kind of felt a bit of a wuss when you know, were behind the wheel here, and the traffic tightened up a bit, hey?
Trevor described one incident where there was just a coat of paint between
There
the
was.
buses.
It truly
3
was.
buses,
That was pretty amazing in Copenhagen. Everyone wanting to get down to see the Little Mermaid, which is a little bit overrated.
Overrated? It's the worst bloody tourist attraction in the world, isn't it?
But never mind.
And then we had lots of laughs for things that happened in the van, like Trevor and I were forever banging our head on that corner, weren't we?
Oh dear.
It's a rounded corner, but it
it's
hurts.
a design fault, actually, in the van, I think. Shouldn't have it there.
So I sellotaped a mobile with pegs on it, and we didn't hit
No,
ourselves
didn't hit our heads
again.
again. No.
The toilet floor squeaked, so,
does.
and Trevor and Gail were sleeping right there, so it was like, and actually the floor's gotten worse, hasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. Every camping ground we went to, the first thing was, wonder what the toilets are going to be like, wonder what the showers are going to be like. Well, this is camping.
That is camping.
Yeah.
So we've had a contrast of camps that we've picked up. We've had about 4 nights of the 30 out away from camps, and but we go in because mainly we need Wi-Fi, and mainly we need a good place to have a clean up ourselves. So.
And to get the clean water. Empty out the
we don't want to get sick, so that's good.
No, staying safe.
Yes,
healthy.
Health-wise.
Health-wise.
That's right.
Yeah.
With a smaller van, we can do much more freedom camping. But with this big bird, really.
She's hard to hide in the bush.
She is.
It is.
And she stuck out like a sore thumb way up in the wilderness in Norway. But But
they
that was
didn't
just
mind, did they?
yeah. Well, after a while, we learnt that you can park wherever you can, so that's really marvellous.
It was good, yeah. And,
Yeah.
and to wake up in the morning and see reasonably fresh animal tracks not far from the van is pretty amazing too.
It
Like
was.
moose tracks.
Thing.
And the total stillness up there,
Yeah.
and yet to know, having just been to a predator museum, knowing that there were eyes on us, we were being watched, and
Yes.
that was a different feel, wasn't it?
It was, hey, no.
Yeah.
So that's the advantages of camper van travel, motorhome travel, is you can get to places like that and experience things totally and utterly different.
Well, we would never have seen, that
No, wouldn't
ski,
it?
that
No.
ski jump, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And to go there and see it in summer and all those people there keeping
Yes.
their fitness up ready for that.
That's right.
Even that lady hooting down the road on a roller skis, wasn't it?
That's
you know,
right.
up
Yeah.
at their
Summer
northernmost point,
Yeah,
all the way up here, up in here.
that's right.
So if you can pick up this, we went into Sweden where Trevor's ancestors came from Stockholm and moved forward up into the remotes here. And up here was just a magical time, midnight sort of sun, really, we could
Yeah,
say,
it was,
wasn't it? Sun setting at 11:45, I think, wasn't it? Great stuff. I enjoyed getting back there.
Yeah, well, Elvin's been there, but it's my first trip there. My great-grandfather came from Stockholm, and Elvin's a bit further down the coast in Sweden, so we had that link.
Trevor's there
Yeah.
and mine there.
Yeah, and so, no, that was fabulous going there.
And we feel like we've got an idea of the Scandinavian laid back, non-judgmental, welcoming personality.
Genuinely kind people.
Yeah, and helpful.
Helpful,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, it was a lovely experience,
Yeah, it was.
Scandinavia.
Yeah.
They said the cost in Scandinavia is high for tourists, but we had our own food. We bought food in the supermarkets and had it here, van all the time. We had sandwiches in here, cups of teas whenever we wanted it, and it was always lovely to come back and have a debrief over a cup of tea and a biscuit and some exotic cheeses that we haven't had before.
We
And-
ate pretty blimmin' well,
We
didn't we?
did eat well. We did eat
Picked the
well.
eyes out of Lydell and ate all these specialties.
Yeah.
We sure did, yeah, absolutely.
So there was 3 main cities that we concentrated on. The first one being Stockholm here, and we got to, we separated during the day. Trev and Gail do their thing, and Bev and I done ours. Wandered around, checked it all out, and you'll see our video blogs recording our adventures there. But the most striking one for me in Stockholm was the Vasa Museum. I had been there before, but this time it's even better interpreted than it was 10 years ago, and it's just a magical memory, isn't it?
Sure is, yeah.
Battleship from 300 years old. It had left Stockholm port, and on its maiden voyage put up its sails, but it was top heavy, and over she went, and down she went into the mud, and there she stayed for 300 years and was able to be rescued, brought back to shore, and she's in pristine condition. They saved 96% of it, and able to be presented in its own special museum.
Highly recommended to visit that museum if ever in Stockholm.
It's very like the fairy tale of the emperor with no clothes. Everyone knew that the king had made the wrong decision, that the boat was dangerous. They'd figured that all out, but they still went ahead and sunk it.
Mm-hmm.
Sailed it. Sunk
Sailed
it.
it.
Sailed it,
yeah.
and sunk it.
Yeah, slightest breeze tipped it over. And likewise in Oslo, Elvin, was the Viking Museum, and those Viking boats,
Yes.
which were small ships.
So Oslo here, that are 1,000-year-old boats, weren't they?
Incredible.
And
Beautiful.
the structure and the engineering to put those boats together, just gobsmacking, really.
Absolutely, yeah. To think where they sailed in those boats and how far they got, around the world in them is just quite incredible, because they were open boats; they weren't closed ships. Yeah.
If I point to the tip of the top, Gail, what's your memory about it way up there, camping out overnight?
And it was short, low-growing forest, very open, beautiful little forest flowers and wild strawberries, and just watching that sunset just on midnight and rising again just 3 hours later. It was just a real special spot. It was so peaceful and restful, and the beautiful little lake did me just fine.
Okay, also it was something that you had mentioned at the planning in the trip about this place called Orsa, and what you saw there, and the big bear you saw there.
I seen a Kumkutchin, but the Americans call it a Kodiak bear. It's nearly as big as this cab of this truck here. She was a monster. Unfortunately, he wasn't on display this time, but we got an oversight onto the wolves and all the predators of the Northern Hemisphere. Tis, we are against zoos as such. Come in!
Shift your big
Is that you, Little Red Riding Hood? All the better to taste. But if they've got a breeding program to bring the wolves back, and the wolverines and the bears, and increase the genetic pool, well then I suppose this is the line of least resistance to that. So it was a big insight again to see those bears with their cubs and playing in the water. I enjoyed that day out there.
That was great. Yeah.
Now Bev, I'm going to point to one here for you.
Cadence for me.
Oh, over here, I've got a flip over
yeah.
here. So we
Surprised the heck out of me because Cadence was like a fairy tale, but it was real, it was cutting edge. Now I'm looking over at this graffiti and Alvin says it's a caterpillar, and I can see it's a caterpillar looking very silly about the angel here, and the caterpillar is somebody is sucking on the caterpillar's breasts, and somebody is riding on the caterpillar's back, and there's a baby inside who's been choked by cigarettes or something like that, I would say. Understand the Polish, what really might have happened here during World War II, and the War Museum the World War II Museum was the most depressing place, but it certainly delivered the goods about how this place suffered. But they're all Polish people that I spoke to are all about the future. They don't want to talk about the past. But the very fact that they're so adamant about their future tells me that they do remember why they want to forget their past.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to go to Tivoli was really great, and coached by a mature lady who asked if we were going into the garden. We said, Lee, I've got a pass for 4 people and I would like to take you in if you want to go.
It was pretty amazing.
So she took us into the park, we shook hands and never spotted them again in the park. It was just,
it's quite
it
huge
was
in
the
there,
most amazing experience,
It
and
is.
that really set the tone for going into Tivoli and just absolutely loving it.
True. My next point is here, a place called Arnhem. Oh, if you could just recount your experience there.
Yeah, well, Arnhem, of course, being interested in history, is the bridge too far, in the Allies' attempts to flush the Germans out of that part of Europe towards the end of the war, and that was fantastic just to actually learn a lot about that there and go to that war museum.
Yeah, that war
And
museum
go to the
is-
bridge, walk over the bridge.
Walk over the bridge, absolutely,
the
yeah.
reconstructed bridge.
Yes. So that was neat. Yeah.
It was.
And the night we stayed by that canal, Freedom Camp, just by the canal, and just was totally amazed at the barges, freighting bulk materials up and down that huge canal. I never realised that they were still used today to that extent.
Transport on water. You got one that you want to point to particularly, Gail?
No, it's just holding the media.
So talking about roles, Gail's kept a track of all the ins and outs, the costs of motorhomes, the fueling up, all that sort of thing as we go there. And what Bev and I and Gail and Trevor have done is split the cost 50-50 up until this time now, when Gail and Trevor are moving on to do their new adventure, and we're carrying on there.
So my role has been like Tonto for the Lone Ranger. Alvin has been the leader. He's slightly or a lot authoritarian, and we did need a leader, and his mantra was video, 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 video. So I was in a supporting role for that.
To put these travel vlogs together, which have come out really great, and we'll just be so delighted to look at those in days coming too, and share these adventures with their families. And that's the beauty of modern technology. But it certainly takes a lot of Alvin's time to do that and to put it together, and then to try and find good Wi-Fi at your camps so that he can actually upload them. That's been a challenge, Alvin.
Yeah, you can't.
And he's the quintessential motorhome driver with the experience, so we used him for that as well. So he did get pretty tired and did achieve a lot.
I
Really.
called him the wagon master.
Yeah.
And I mean, here we are now discussing all the countries we've been in, and we're still racking our brains about what did we see in that country. So these videos will be more valuable in the future to us.
Yes, yeah.
Good. So in summary, we've got a half a day's drive now back to Germany, out of Poland to the border.
Yeah.
Gail and Trevor jumping on a train and heading off on their next adventure. And Bev and I have got another week to take the van back over to Paris. So it's a sort of a bon voyage video for this part of our trip this last month together.
Yeah.
I've really appreciated having your company and just talking old stuff from when we were boys, playing around together, and it's been good.
Yeah, no, it's been
has been
fantastic.
good.
Yeah, we've enjoyed
absolutely.
it. Hey?
And stretching ourselves with camping, awkwardly.
Oh, absolutely. It's not a luxury way to go travelling. You've got to give and take all the way. It's been an awesome journey, and the fact that Alvin had done a lot of this on his own in a camper van 10 years ago, he was a great guide because he knew where to go, and he just saw the changes in 10 years too and shared those changes with us too. So we've had a real great insight into this journey because of Alvin's previous trip around here and his guiding.
But life's what you make it, isn't it?
It is,
and if you
it
want to
is.
put yourself out and do this,
Absolutely.
and we're all lucky that we're retired now, and our obligations are diminishing back home. What a beautiful little word you come up with.
That's right.
Our obligations are diminishing.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And the young'uns back home will be thinking, I wonder what the oldies are up to today.
Yeah, well, we can show them what we've been up to, can't
That's
you?
right.
Yeah.
And that little baby of yours there is only this big, but she can have a look at this when she's 5 or 6 and
That's
see
right.
what Granddad
Totally.
and Grandma
Yeah.
did, didn't it?
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to cuddling her again shortly too, because she's growing so fast. It's not funny.
Yeah. Lovely.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
team, we're going to close it now and get on with the next part of the adventure, drive across to Germany. Over and out.
Cheers.
Bye.
Good, Alvin. Yeah, thanks for coming, Awesome. Don't you guys get lost, right?